It's been a busy season for the IndyCar series, and we are here on the Backroad to break everything down for you, give us our favorite championship odds and head-to-head odds and all kinds of great stuff. So stick with us for the IndyCar series on the Backroad.
It's a non-points race, but it is a short race. Checkered flag. That's all this race is.
All right, and welcome down the back road in between media's motorsports betting show as we continue to await the 2026 NASCAR future markets to release. And with the recent resurgence of the fastest racing on earth, we've got a 2026 IndyCar preview coming your way in this episode. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, joined by a patriot and a man who knows just about everything there is to know when it comes to open-wheeled or stock car racing. He's Hot Rod Villagomez. Rod, happy new year to you and your family. How are you? And what is the level of excitement for the upcoming IndyCar season, which is back bigger and better than ever as it returns to Fox for the second straight season?
Indeed, Seth, happy new year to you. Happy new year to everybody out there. Yeah, listen, there is always excitement when it comes to anything that is track related, not the least of which IndyCar series, which, I mean, last season, yeah, we can say that there was not a whole lot of excitement coming down the stretch as to the championship race,
Sure.
But we talked about it before the show, Seth. We always appreciate good racing, and IndyCar definitely gives us good racing. It's going to give us great racing this season too. A lot of drivers have kind of jumped ship and moved around, and I think the pieces that are in place now are going to make this a very competitive and exciting season. Or Álex Palou just runs away with it, and we all just sit here and talk about other stuff.
I could not agree more, Rod. IndyCar is one of those sports that has such a long, tenured history in this country. And with the recent flux, not only in the drivers, but also in the schedule, it's going to be really interesting to see how it kind of all comes together from a betting standpoint. We're going to have new rivalries brewing, people trying to get revenge on old teams, all that good stuff. So excited to break it down here for you. Tonight's program does look like this, folks. Horizon forecast. We're going to look into the 2026 IndyCar season. We're going to break down the grid, the cars, the point system, the schedule, everything you need to know, especially for those NASCAR and F1 fans out there who maybe don't know a ton about IndyCar. We want to try to embrace the sport and try to, help you dive into it a little bit further. We're also getting to our parking garage props where we crack open the odds boards, previewing what books have to offer for our favorite early bets in the championship outrights, win totals, and Indy 500 markets. And also, if you guys want a little more of Rod, myself, Elliot, everyone here on the back road, consider joining the IBT Racing family. It is now absolutely free to join and gain access to the chat with our analysts, plus Ryan from iFantasyRace.com. And you're also going to get in on the memorabilia giveaways. If you want to get access to our full betting cards, the betting model, which we already have the Daytona 500 model out there, and the head-to-head matchups contest, you can upgrade for $3.99 per month or $36 for the year. And right now, that's also going to include the football family, IBT football family, that is wrapping up its first season as well, where we give you our favorite college and NFL picks. We also have the touchdown call contest and more memorabilia giveaways over there. And we also have the entertainment and PGA season families wrapping up and coming your way here very, very soon as well. We have a new model for the entertainment and for the PGA picks. It's going to help you out. We have some contests happening over there. So whether you're into Survivor 50 or making your Grammy picks, we have those type of contests for you. We really want to engage with you guys. And speaking of free stuff we have going on over there in the IBT family, the PropDecks tournament. This is your last chance to get involved with this. It's absolutely free to join right now. All you have to do, go to in-betweenmedia.com/chat. And there we are hosting a PropDecks contest where you can build a player prop-based fantasy football lineup from wildcard weekend all the way through the Super Bowl, baby. Winner is going to take home a $200 Fanatics gift card. Second place gets an autographed Zach Evans Ole Miss Rebels jersey. And third place will score you a free entry to our 2026 2026 edition of Draft Night Out. That's our live fantasy football draft party in Canton, Ohio at the Fantasy Football Expo this July. Limited spots available. It is now free to join. Again, just go to in-betweenmedia.com/chat. You're going to go to the Discord page. You're going to join the NFL Playoffs Prop Deck Contest channel. Huge thank you to our partner PropDecks for helping us make the NFL playoffs every bit more interesting this year. Rod, I know you're involved in a lot of those things we have going over there in the IBT family. I know you're a big Survivor guy, so you're excited for that contest. And also the PropDecks contest starting out this weekend with your 49ers front and center there on Sunday.
So much good stuff going on in the IBT family. It's just hard to keep up with it, but listen, get involved. This is the fun, probably the funnest part of the year with the playoffs going on. And, like you said, Survivor 50 cranking up right now. Obviously they're done filming, but I am so excited to see the finished product. Man, last season was great. It's going to be hard to follow up on 49 and make 50 that much better.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it is my favorite part about doing all this content is being able to interact with people one-on-one there in the Discord, get those chats going. And also, I'm a very competitive person, so I like to win different contests. So if you guys think you can take down me and Rod and anything from your NFL PropDecks picks or your head-to-head NASCAR contest picks or anything over there in the entertainment family, come on down, take us down. We want to hear from you, and we want to play against you guys. So also, don't forget, we are also available on audio form. Shout out to everyone who listens to us over on Apple Podcasts. Please leave us a review if you have not already. We're also on 101.5 FM, talking West Tennessee, baby, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday. So shout out to all the great people down there in the western part of the great state of Tennessee. Link to all this stuff we're talking about, the families, the Talking West Tennessee, the audio version, all right there in the episode description. So make sure you're checking it out. Also, don't forget to like if you enjoy this type of content and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And folks, let's go ahead, Rod. Let's fire it up here in the Horizon Forecast. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Hey, Michael, it was only 20% chance of rain. I think we got all 20.
All right, we are going to break down the 2026 IndyCar grid. We're going to split it up for a few different fractions here. We got the teams with no driver changes. Then we'll get into some driver moves, some 2026 rookies to know, and 2025 drivers who have left the sport entirely. And I want to start with the teams with no driver changes. Of course, there's McLaren, Pato O'Ward back in that seat as well. He's been there for quite some time. I think he's going on his 6th season there at Arrow McLaren. Also, we got Nolan back, the American. He will be here for a 2nd season. Then Christian Lundgaard as well, the 2022 implant, the Danish driver there. So looking forward to seeing what McLaren can do. And then Ganassi as well. Rod, what is your breakdown? Give us the 3 drivers here from Ganassi and any thoughts you have on them versus McLaren. Who's kind of in charge of this tier, if you would? Because we can talk about ECR, we can talk about MSR, but really I feel like Ganassi and McLaren are a step above them team-wise.
Well, I mean, obviously with Pato O'Ward coming off of the season that he's coming off of last season, it 2nd place in the standings, and really the only guy that probably could have given Álex Palou a run for his money until obviously Palou pulled Palou things. That's definitely a good anchor for this team and a good start. And then of course with Christian Lundgaard, man, what a story! 5th place in the points overall last season. Just a great 6 podiums on the year. Again, Arrow McLaren is in a very good spot. Obviously with Siegel in there as well. It's, the 3rd driver of any major powerhouse.
Yep.
It's the first 2 get all the money. The guy, the guy, he's there and he'll be good for them. But yeah, those 2 powerhouses are set for a really, really good, solid season. And I think McLaren will be in competition most of the year for wins and obviously for podium finishes as they were again last year.
Yeah, of course, Chip Ganassi also, in addition to having Palou in their stable, Scott Dixon, the longtime veteran, one of the most iconic names in racing across the entire world. There have been rumors for a couple of years that maybe we can get him in a Daytona 500 ride eventually. I would love that, but that's a little tinfoil hatty. And then Kyphin Simpson, kind of right there, like in line with what you're going to get from Nolan Siegel as well from that 3rd driver. Overall, if you had to take one as a whole, is it still Ganassi, you think, over McLaren? I mean, I know I would probably take like probably Dixon over Lundgaard at this point too. So I think I am probably still Ganassi over McLaren. Do you agree with that take?
Well, and so for me, I feel like obviously this is head to head, but I'm giving the edge to McLaren this season. I mean, not obviously Palou. You can never. But I mean, if I'm taking the next couple of it after that, I think Lundgaard is going to have a pretty big season this year. I think he's going to take a step up and compete. I know that, Cody, my longtime racing friend and co-host of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, is all in on Lundgaard this year and really just is high on his potential. And Scott Dixon's going to be Scott Dixon, and there's no getting away from that. So, yeah, I don't know. It really comes down to, I think Pato O'Ward and Lundgaard are going to put a lot of pressure on this team, on the Ganassi team, to continue to perform at a high level this year.
Also, some other teams with no driver changes. ECR back with Alexander Rossi in that number 20 car. And we also have Christian Rasmussen, who will be coming back as well for his third season with this club. And then MSR, they have Felix Rosenqvist, who is coming back for his 7th season. He is the Swede for Meyer Shank Racing. Then also Marcus Armstrong will be back in that 66 for the 3rd straight season as well. Any thoughts here on ECR, MSR? These are teams, Rod, that very much they're out there, right? Like they're not, I don't want to call them bottom tier or anything, but they very much know who they are. And I kind of feel like they perform like who they are almost each and every single week.
So if you're going to compare them in NASCAR terms, like if you're a NASCAR fan, this is more like a 2311, a Trackhouse, right?
Sure.
These guys, they can and will win races every once in a while, but they're really just guys that, for betting purposes, it's very difficult because you know, especially with IndyCar, right? Because IndyCar, the wins are kind of concentrated a little more, especially last year at the top with Álex Palou getting 8 of them, Kyle Kirkwood getting 3. Yep. Only a handful of drivers actually won a race last year. So it's difficult to put these guys in winning columns, right? It's just more, are they going to finish on the podium? Can they get a points finish? Like what are we expecting out of them? And that's kind of what you expect out of Trackhouse and 2311, right? Tyler Reddick can win you races, but he doesn't win all the races. Yeah, that's the kind of what you're looking for with these teams.
Well, it's super interesting because I feel like the one big difference from IndyCar and NASCAR is that when we go to these NASCAR super speedways, it gives these lesser teams like the Rick Wares, like the Spire Motorsports, like the Front Row Motorsports, a real good chance. And it feels like anymore, at least, it is a lot of the Team Penske's. It is a lot of the Chip Ganassi and the Aaron McLaren team that is kind of running the show out there, if you would. So while I have seen, some optimism that maybe one of these lower teams could go out and pull out an Indy 500 win sometime soon, we haven't seen it lately, right? It's been a little while. So looking then at some driver moves in general, Rod, we did have Renus VK. He switched from Dale Coyne Racing over to JHR. We also had David Malakas, who switched from AJ Foyt Racing. He is going to join Team Penske in their 3rd seat, and that is because longtime veteran, former champion of the IndyCar Series, Will Power, he switched from Team Penske. He is now with Andretti. Rod, who are the risers and the fallers when it comes to these driver moves? Because I personally think leaving Team Penske would be a downgrade for Will Power. But our friend Bob Pockrass out there in the media, known for both his NASCAR and IndyCar work, also has Will Power inside the top 3 of his power rankings. I know the betting community as a whole seems a bit higher on Will Power. So betting risers and betting fallers when it comes to these driver moves, if you would.
I think Malukas is actually in a good spot too, taking over there at Team Penske. I think he's going to see a little boost in his ability to perform well. But for Will Power, look, he's taking over Colton Herta's seat in that 26 car. We know Colton Herta was able to do good things in that. Now he's exploring options over in the F1 world. So I don't think this is as much of a downgrade as you would think it would be, because again, Andretti equipment is still good, right? It's not like a lower tier equipment. This is more like your, I don't know. I guess there's no real NASCAR.
You want to call it like an RFK? Like an RFK almost? Or maybe like a higher,
where we know that they're going to be competitive week in and week out. And then Will Power. I mean, it's Will Power, right? There's just no denying that he can probably elevate any equipment that he's in anyways. So I'm with Bob on this one. I don't really feel like this is a huge downgrade and I don't think he'd do it at this point in his career if this was a gigantic downgrade, right? Sure. I think he knows the risk. He knows what he's getting into. And a driver like him, you can definitely not count out a move that he makes as a strategic move. So I don't hate it for Will Power. I love it for Malukas. I really do. David Malukas a solid driver already. But I feel like he's going to get a pretty good equipment boost from what we saw from him earlier.
Okay, let's go to the 2026 rookie class where Rod, a lot of hype on this class, right? Of course, you have Dennis Hauger, who's coming in for Dale Coyne Racing. He was the 2025 Indy NXT champion, and also Kyle Kirkwood, who is going to be joining AJ Foyt Racing, the 2025 Indy NXT runner-up. And then we also have Mick Shoemaker, who will be coming over for RLL Racing. And he had raced some WEC racing in the past and F1 as well. So, Rod, what do you make of this rookie class, and how would you rank them coming into the season?
Well, I think Schumacher definitely has an edge on this one. His experience at the highest level of open wheel racing is something that you can't ignore. And I feel like he's coming into an RLL team that is hungry for a driver that can take them, because they've had their fair share of good drivers. That 15 car has always been pretty good for them as well. So I don't know. For me, I think Schumacher probably ranks there as well. And then the other guys, rookies in open wheel. It's very difficult to come in and make a name for yourself as a rookie in open wheel. And especially with veteran guys that are going to hog it up the spotlight, like the Palou's, like the Dixons, like the Powers out there. I think they'll do well. I feel like, we'll be talking more about maybe Schumacher than we will the other two as we move forward.
Yeah, I would have to tend to agree with you. I will say, from what I've heard of Hauger, it seems like this guy has, been there and done that. While he's only 22 years old, he's from Norway. He has some F2 background as well in his portfolio. So I think that will give him a little bit of an upgrade. I'm not sure what we're going to get out of this DCR car he's in, right? I think that's part of the handicap here as well. And then when you kind of look at a guy like Calais, I don't know, right? Like the biggest thing he's ever done in his career, again, just 23 years old. So these guys have accomplished way more in their lifetime than we ever will, right? And but he's won the French F4 title, right? Like that's kind of his claim to fame there. So it feels like when you're just talking resume a little bit, you would generally think you would want the kid who's coming in and has raced at the highest level, right in F1. So, but AJ Foyt's not a bad team either, right? And I feel like if there's ever a team that's going to be motivated, it's AJ Foyt this season specifically.
Yeah, again, like I said, I give the edge to the guy who's raced against the world's greatest drivers out there, right? And yeah, he may not have kept that seat at Haas, but he definitely was somebody that you would look for as a points finisher week to week in those Grand Prix out there in F1.
And let's go ahead and get to the 2025 drivers who are no longer with the sport. And the big one here was Colton Herta, who decided to pursue F1 by joining the FIA Formula 2 program. And then Jacob Abel, who will be racing some IMSA sports car, also going to be in that LMP2 class for Era Motorsports. So Colton Herta, Rod, he's really the big name. This was one person that I felt like really had a large fan base in the U.S., right? Someone who, but at the same time, like it's great to see someone from over here go out there and pursue F1. So what are your thoughts on the drivers who are leaving and kind of the void it leaves out there on the racetrack itself?
Well, I mean, like you said, Colton Herta leaving is one of the bigger names of the sport to go. But of course, now that's not going to affect too many people because in that 26 car ends up sliding in Will Power. So, it will be like, all right, the seat's not really cold because Will Power's moving into it. But Colton Herta, yeah, definitely a guy that is going to be missed on the track. You look at last season, an average finish of 10.9 on the year. He did end up finishing 10th in the standings overall. Only two podiums, so it wasn't as if that season was ridiculously successful, which is probably why he decided to move on from that. California native, so you know that a lot of Americans were definitely pulling for him there as well. He does have 9 career wins in that 26 vehicle. So yeah, I mean, look, it's gonna be different without Herta, but I feel like with Will Power, you're not gonna miss him all that much.
Yeah, I think it definitely opens up the door for some of these other younger drivers to kind of step in his place on and off the track, right? Start building that brand for yourself like Colton did a really good job of over the last few years, very active on social medias and on some YouTube content as well. So excited to see what he can do there overseas. But we're going to miss you, Colton. He was a good sport and, good for the sport and a good racer in general, as you mentioned there. Some additional drivers we will also have running in the Indy 500 this this year. Ryan Hunter-Reay back at the age of 45. Keep in mind, this is a guy who won in that 2014 race there at Indianapolis, the second closest finish in race history as well, past Helio Castroneves back in the day there. And then Jack Harvey, he's going to be back at the age of 33 as well, while Ryan Hunter-Reay is going to be in that Arrow McLaren seat, one that we've certainly seen some very successful drivers take over. For Jack Harvey, he's just going to be taking over that Dreyer and Reinbold racing team seat. So anything here, Rod? Do you really expect much from Ryan Hunter-Reay or Jack Harvey?
Now, this is just a lot like when folks join the Daytona 500, right? They want to be in the race, they're got to race in, and
David Reagan-ish.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah,
you just roll out every once in a while for the Daytona 500 and dust off the car and put it out on the track. And I mean, yeah, they could very well be competitive, but I'm not necessarily throwing anything at them this early, especially.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Would love to see if we could get another NASCAR Cup Series driver back over there, but it just doesn't seem like that's going to be the case, at least for 2026.
Kyle Larson ruined it for everybody.
I think that's the case. I know Rowdy is not, closed the door on that. Yeah, I know he still wants to do that. Maybe he'll take, him for the chance where he removes himself from the Cup Series full time. Maybe still competes and tries to get the double action there. But I would love to see Rowdy out there. We need a Kyle Busch start one of these years, man. I think it's coming eventually. So we'll see what happens out there. But I think probably the window is closed, at least for this year. Maybe we get a surprise active start. But I think for the most part, we would have heard at least by now, I'm thinking, in the news, Rod.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to, because again, like I said, Kyle Larson, I think, ruined it for everybody. You saw what happened to him after he ran the Indy 500 this last year. And I don't think anybody, I mean, how good he won the championship. I get that. But like the performances weren't all that great after the 500.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like the baseball home run derby. Do you do it or do you not? Because it could really, mess up your swing and kind of hurt you long term a little bit potentially. Let's look at the equipment though for the 2026 IndyCar season, Rod. The introduction of a completely new chassis has been delayed to 2028. So that is going to be on-track testing for that new car scheduled for around early this year. So the drivers are going to remain in that DW12 base chassis right now. So that's going to include new hybrid power units, which were introduced back in 2024. Powertrain, the 2026 season will continue to use that 2.2 liter twin turbocharged V6 hybrid powertrain. There will be some changes in the Indy Next series as well. They're going to have a ton of new technical changes. So if you are betting on that, if you're one of those real sickos, just kind of keep that in mind as well. And then as far as the officiating operations, independent officiating is being implemented for the 2026 season. So maybe that comes into play when things get a little bit dicey out there from an operations standpoint. Rod, anything big to take away from here? Because for me, there's nothing I can really include in my handicapping as far as when we're looking ahead to the IndyCar top level series.
It feels like everybody in racing, all the racing entities right now are trying to rip things up and put something back together. I know F1's got a lot of changes. IndyCar was about to make them. Obviously, they pulled out and aren't making them right away. So like you said, there's not really much to take away other than maybe familiarity in some of these older drivers, and then maybe take into account the rookie drivers still trying to get their feet wet. But that's the case with any season. So yeah, there's really not much, no big changes that are going to make me say, oh man, I need to shorten this field up.
Well, and I love that for two reasons. One, like I don't want, as a fan who feels like NASCAR might have rushed the next gen car, I don't want to go through some of those technical difficulties that we saw there in IndyCar. So I'm really happy that their leadership, Roger Penske and company, really were like, hey, let's push the brakes on this a little bit and just wait until it's fully ready. I think that's a really smart business move. And also from like a handicap and betting standpoint, Rod, it makes our job much easier, right? Because when we saw the next gen car come into NASCAR, it completely changed things for the better part of 2 years that we really had to adjust to the new life of the next gen. So it makes me, from a future standpoint, want to be a little more aggressive in IndyCar this year. It makes me, from a race to race standpoint, feel a little bit more confident to lay out a multi-unit wager. So I think it's just wheels up, really, if anything, here in the IndyCar series. Let's go ahead, though, and let's look at the schedule as well, Rod, because very interesting schedule mechanics happening here in IndyCar, and it starts very early in the season. New events at Phoenix Raceway and on the streets of Arlington. They follow the season opener at St. Petersburg, which, keep in mind, that St. Pete race is also going to have the NASCAR Truck Series down there as well, Rod. So that is going to be just a monumental weekend for Fox. I know they have the Truck Series race. I know they have all the IndyCar stuff happening there as well. So that's going to be great for both sports to kind of have one weekend together. I'm really, really excited. Maybe some more collaboration talks can happen at that point. And then also Phoenix Raceway, man. This is one I picked up a copy of NASCAR 25 over the holiday, Rod, and that is such a fun track to drive with how you can fan out down that dog leg, right? I mean, it is such a fun track, and I actually think IndyCar could maybe put it to a little bit better use than the NASCAR Cup Series can right now.
I'm a little scared about IndyCar being able to go down that dog leg. I don't feel like those cars are going to behave well on. They don't have the weight that the NASCAR next car has, and
yeah,
I could see them one person trying to hit that dog leg and just flying up in the sky, because it just feels to me like that's a very dangerous thing to, especially at the speeds that Indy cars can get at. But I'm so there for it, right? I'm so there to see if it actually does happen. If they try this, like how the racing, because we've watched NASCAR evolve on that track and to figure out how to get around in the fastest way, right? And so IndyCar hasn't had that yet, and they're used to the ovals like Iowa, like Indy, where you can't cut the corner, where you can't get off the track and the racing surface. You have to stay on it. So these drivers have never maneuvered anything like this before. And yeah, this will be a lot of fun to watch them take on Phoenix.
And also the streets of Arlington, man. Like, I'm sure Jerry Jones had to have his hand in this, right? Dallas Cowboys Stadium going to be prominently featured in that race, as well as the Texas Rangers Stadium. So I'm just really excited for that. I personally, while I do love IndyCar on ovals, I really do like the street races. It feels like they do a fantastic job, especially throughout the U.S., which can be tough, you know, as we've seen with Chicago, to navigate that from an event hosting standpoint. So really looking forward to that. We're also going to have Nashville Super Speedway with Fox's telecast of the FIFA 2026 World Cup final serve as just a historic, great lead-in for that race. So that's great, again, for IndyCar, getting a little more exposure to people who, hey, maybe they're tuning into the World Cup. Maybe they aren't really familiar with what IndyCar is versus maybe F1, especially for the international fans. So looking forward to that. And also more primetime racing under lights on ovals. Both WWT Worldwide Technology Raceway, aka Gateway, and Nashville Super Speedway will be at night. So again, one more kind of cool opportunity here. We know F1 has had a lot of success going under the night and going under those lights. So I think maybe we see something similar here with IndyCar. A return to the season finale will return back to WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca. So I think that's something people are very happy about as well. And we also will have, for the second consecutive season, all 17 races back on Fox. We also have 2 additional appearances during the 2 days of qualifying for the Indianapolis 500 presented by Gamebridge. So I think just in general, Rod, like all these are like, this isn't anything like, hey, NASCAR is going to Chicago for the first time, or NASCAR is, taking some of these wild swings. But IndyCar, it feels like it's making the most of it, and it feels like they're doing it in calculated small risks every single year. So I love this, and I love them being back on Fox, not only during their normal slate, but also during some of these night races as well.
Fox did such a good job of marketing this race series. Like, I feel like their commercials and the way they approached it was more just modern and more of an approach that people related to, right? I mean, especially the commercials that they introduced the drivers with, right? I mean, the approach that they took and some of the little risks that they threw out there, right, were just sort of like, wow, okay, well, they're fully behind this. And I mean, look, they put on good racing, and as long as people can watch that, and hopefully people do stick around after the World Cup, hopefully people do stick around for these night races, because F1, like you said, Las Vegas is beautiful. That's such a gorgeous production at night. And so can't wait for that. Seth, I am looking forward to hopefully making out to Laguna Seca, because I am close enough to that this year.
How far are you from that?
A couple hours, a few hours.
Okay.
Yeah, it just depends on how fast I drive. If I drive as fast as the Indy cars, then I'm there in a couple hours. If I drive as fast as my little Chevy can take me, it's going to be about 6 or 7.
Okay, well, fair. Didn't they have a show back in the day, like Laguna Beach or something? Am I right on that? Okay, I thought me from the '90s or something. Am I right? Am I
I
right?
think it was from the 2000s. I think Laguna Beach was like the early 2000s.
Were you on it? Were you on it?
If I was on it, I was the guy that was walking by the camera just looking at it.
No, Hot Rod, man. You can surprise me. I could see you out there strutting Laguna Beach and getting the Baywalk going on. And the one thing, like, just to keep in mind with the schedule and like why I think IndyCar deserves a little bit of praise is because not only like could they have found a different partner who would have paid them more money than Fox, but like they're taking kind of a significant pay cut in a way to be on Fox and to be on primetime television and to be on cable. So I think that's a great step for them. And, while NASCAR, and I'm happy that they are making more money and all the teams are making more money now, especially after the lawsuit, not a bad thing. Not a bad thing to when you're trying to gain exposure to your sport. Like sometimes, and we know here in the content business, Rod, sometimes there is a battle between do you take exposure versus do you take payment, right? And it feels like IndyCar definitely going with the exposure route, which for a sport like this, we're hoping to continue to rise and rebound. I think it's a great thing. Last thing here in Horizon Forecast as we round out the season preview, Rod, before we get to the best bets and the betting markets preview, I just want to kind of break down this point system for the fine people out there. Is that okay with you? And what can you how can you compare this to other motorsports out there? IndyCar system, of course, it's the full season points long system. How do you compare it to the other ones? And can you go through some of the various way drivers can add points throughout the season, please?
Well, and so, yeah, this is a lot like in the old school days of NASCAR where it was just the full season and you scored points and that's how you won the championship. And regardless of when you won it, right? So if you won it with 5 races to go, you won it with 6 races to go, didn't matter. The season would play out, but you would still be the champion. A lot like F1. We saw Max Verstappen run away with that as well. So, I mean, you get that, you get those points. So with every position, you get points. Obviously, the first place pays out the most and 50 points for every race win. Down the line, 40 for second, 35 for third, on down and to the very end of it where, again, we only have a couple of 20 some odd drivers take the track each and every week. So really the most or the least amount you can score is about 8 points. And so that's where you are. You get the pole, you get an extra point. You lead at least 1 lap, you get a point. And the most laps led at the end get 2 points. So the bonus point system, a lot like we saw with NASCAR, right? I mean, and again, Álex Palou took full advantage of that and had the championship throttled with a few races to go in the season. And, all that was left was just to figure out who's going to win the last few races of the year.
Yeah. And while I do appreciate the old school nature of this, at the same time, I'm someone who doesn't hate the NASCAR playoffs, right? And because I think it brings you a little bit of excitement down the stretch. Truthfully, Rod, the last few races, they weren't ones that were on my calendar for must-see television for IndyCar. Football starting up around then. We have a full college slate that weekend as well. So it's just very difficult to kind of remain in the limelight there, except for your diehard hardest fans. So just, something I wouldn't mind seeing eventually is them maybe going to a playoff system. I don't think it will happen because IndyCar is so much into their roots and, ingrained in this system. But yes, something to think about. And, something to keep in mind just as we're looking at those points is if you win races in IndyCar and you can win and stack ones like we saw Álex do last year, Rod, it's one of those situations where you can run away with a title and you need wins to lock up a title. You really can't back your way into it here because that difference from the 50 and 40 points from first and second is just ginormous.
Yeah, and on down 10th place gets 20 points. So, I mean, that's a 30-point advantage that you're giving up to the winner, and you can't just sort of top 10 your way into a championship. You do, like you said, have to pick up those wins. I mean, look, F1 is also like this in that they're probably never, ever going to get away from the full point system, and they try to build the excitement in other places, and I think that's what IndyCar is also trying to do as well with visiting these different tracks and taking them different places to try to build up that excitement in ways that the racing will always be compelling no matter what they're actually chasing for,
Sure. Absolutely. Rod, great breakdown of the series and the season as a whole. We are going to get to our best bets, but first, a quick message from our friends over at WannaParlay. WannaParlay is creating a fun and exciting competition that actually connects people. They embody the joy of winning, the heartbreak of almost winning, and all the other emotions that you're going to experience during competition from the brains of two former Kansas State college football players. Shout out Wildcats, baby. It's all about stacking legs, competing for real sports lovers like you, and getting real cash wins every single day. You can 1,000 times your money and cash out fast. Are you ready to get in on the game and flex those parlay legs? Well, download the app for iOS and Android and get a 100% match bonus when you use the promo code IBT at sign up. Again, let them know we sent you. Use that promo code IBT to get a 100% match bonus at WannaParlay. Link is in the episode description for that yet again. And Rod, let's go ahead and fire it up here in Park Garage Props and start laying down some units. All right, it's Parking Garage Props time. We are looking at the IndyCar 2026 Championship future betting markets. And I want to pull up the odds right here as we get things going. And it really starts with a little bit of juice, right? Álex Palou right now, minus 215 over at Caesar Sportsbooks to win the championship. And then you're actually getting some value here on some of the other contenders, right? Pato O'Ward here, plus 575. Kyle Kirkwood, the Street Course King, 6-1. Josef Newgarden, a guy who isn't afraid to win some big races, 7-1. Another Team Penske affiliate, Scott McLaughlin, 12-1. Scott Dixon, 16-1. Lundgaard, 18-1. Will Power, 20-1. And your guy, Malukas, as well, 30-1. So, Rod, let's talk about this. Do you really feel that anyone outside of that 30-1 range, any one of these long shots, even for a potential cash out, is really burning it, just wasted units at this point?
It's tough. It's really tough to argue any of these guys outside of the 30-1 range. In fact, it's really hard to argue anybody outside of the 20-1 range because we know obviously the concentrated power that is the top of this list, right? With Newgarden and O'Ward and Power, and Scott Dixon and Palou, obviously. And what's tough with Palou is this is a lot like even last season with Max Verstappen, right? I mean, he's minus 215 to win the championship. And obviously this year was not Verstappen's year. And if you were to bet him, even at as short odds as he was, I think he ended up just above the break even line. So maybe plus one something at the end of the preseason. But even still, like if you were to lay enough down on Palou and he doesn't come through this year, then you're screwed. And it's tough to argue that he can come back and have as dominant a season as he's had. But then again, it's hard not to argue that he's going to come out and do exactly what he's done over the last few seasons as well. As a bettor, you're kind of hamstrung here, right? Minus 215 is really not a territory you want to enter, especially in a long-term future. But considering he's done it in 4 out of the last 5 seasons.
Yeah, right.
I know future or past performance doesn't dictate future, but God, it's hard to not say that he's going to do it for the 4th straight year.
Yeah, I almost think this is a way that, I really don't see any value out there on the board. I have seen Palou for as low as 2-1 at some other books. So if you want to parlay that with something maybe and get yourself up there, something you're very confident in, and just hammer it for multiple units, I think that's the play here, Rob, because he was nearly 200 points above O'Ward last year, right? And I think you look at as far as their stats, they're similar minus the wins, right? Top 5s, we had Palou with 14 of them. We had O'Ward with 10. Top 10s, we had Palou with 15. We had O'Ward with 12. But it's just the wins. Pato O'Ward, to me, I don't think he's a guy who at this point in his career we can expect to get in victory lane 4 or 5 times. And I think that's what's going to take to knock somebody like Palou off his grandstand here. So it's just really, really tough to see anyone getting that close to him. I think if you're looking for a long shot, I will say I don't think it's the Team Penske guys. I know they get a lot of hype because this is Roger Penske's series, but Josef Newgarden and Scott McLaughlin were honestly both very disappointing last year. So like, I don't see much value at all. Like, if you want to go with one of these rising guys like a Kirkwood or an O'Ward, I'm okay with that. But like, I really think that's your only investment unless you are pretty married to someone like Will Power taking a step forward in the new equipment, or like Cody going on that lung guard action. I think that's really your only situation here where there even is a potential cash out opportunity, Rod.
Yeah, and I do like Kirkwood. You definitely brought up his name. He's got 5 wins over his 4-year career, finished 7th and 4th in the standings in the last couple of seasons. So he is sort of a riser and somebody who can, I feel like, give the Palou's of the world a run for their money. He did have a solid season last year, finishing 4th in the standing behind Pato O'Ward and Dixon. And so I feel like he's one of a good option. And look, at 6 to, I got Pato at 6-1 overall on the score. And I feel like that's good value for the guy that was the runner up last year as well. So, you know, like I said, with a guy like Palou, you know, and I know that we bettors love to look for all these things and all these angles and all these edges that we can find, but every season is a new season. And you know, we start out the year saying, well, Álex Palou can't win 4 in a row. Well, he can't win 3 in a row, right? He can't win 2 in a row. He can't. So at some point you have to figure out where your convictions lie and whether or not you feel like Palou can win a 4th in a row. Cause I tell you, it's difficult, but Max Verstappen was out there killing it year after year after the championship. So
it's one of those situations where I really think you either have to make a decision. Either A, you're drinking the juice on Palou and you're just going to play multiple units on it and tie up some capital for the year, or you're going to do exactly what Rod did and you go with a 6-1 award ticket and you try to get a Kyle Kirkwood. What did you find Kirkwood at longest across books? A 7? Did you find a 7 on him?
I found 7 on DraftKings for him.
Okay. So I think that's the way you have to do it. I think you take 2 of the best contenders. I would personally be surprised if anyone jumped Kirkwood or O'Ward for that 2 and 3 spot in the standings. Like, if there is something that you could almost like predict the exact order of the standings, if there was a market like that eventually offered where you could put Palou 1, O'Ward, Kirkwood, and change the 2-3, that is something I would get invested with, because I really do feel conviction that we do have the top 3 drivers in this sport up the top, one with Kirkwood's presence on these street courses and O'Ward just being a really, really steady guy who he's not going to win a ton of races every single season, but he's going to be, you know, top 5 in you to death. So I feel really good about those top 3s. Is there anyone that you could see outside of that top 3 jump into that top 3 conversation this season, Rod?
I mean, outside of maybe Christian Lundgaard, I mean, maybe Scott Dixon gets back in there again. Obviously, you talked about Josef Newgarden, and I feel like if he can string together some good oval wins, then I think he could be in the mix as well.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead, Rod, and then let's turn the page. We're going to look at some season win totals, which always one of my most favorite markets when it comes to NASCAR gambling. And here we also have them when it comes to when it comes to IndyCar gambling as well. So let's turn our attention to the season win total market. Again, this one's also coming from Caesar Sportsbook. Right now, the offerings include you can get Palou, his season win total over under 4.5, the over juice to -165, the under +135. Scott Dixon, the savvy bet there, over 1.5 -140, under 1.5 +110. Kyle Kirkwood, over 2.5 +110, under 2.5 -140. Pato O'Ward, we got over 2.5 +110, under 2.5 -140. And then Josef Newgarden, over 2.5 +140, under 2.5 -170. Then Will Power in the new seat, over 1.5 +155, under 1.5 -185. Rod, where do you see value, if any, in the season win total market?
I tell you what, the books have really got this nailed down pretty good, unfortunately. And, you know, the question is, can Palou come out and win another 8 races? And if he can't, then where do those other wins go, right? That's really where your handicap has to start. How many races do you think Álex Palou is going to win? And you can bet the over. Sure. Go ahead. I mean, -165, again, a lot like his championship, is just a lot to tie in to a futures bet long term, right? That's kind of how I feel about it. So if you feel like he wins 5-6 races, that still leaves 2 out there. Me, I'm kind of leaning towards Will Power. Like, I want to see this 26 car work for Will Power. And, you know, he can win. I think he can win 2 races this season. He won 1 last year, right? So he won 1, 3 podiums, had a pole in that instance. And For Will Power, this is just him kind of getting back to it again, right? Getting back to winning ways and feeling it. In 2024, he won 3 races as well. So, I mean, he's had multiple wins in several of his career seasons, his 18 years. He's got 43 in total. So maybe this change of scenery for Will Power is enough to unlock a second win. And, at 1.5 to 1, I feel like that's actually a pretty good investment. You could potentially actually get that early on in the year. You may not have to wait till Portland to get his first win of the season. He was, he was 3rd place in the Indy GP. He was 3rd place at Iowa. And 4th place at Detroit. All of those potentials to get a win. So I feel like this could cash before the midpoint of the season, and you could have yourself a nice little cash by the mid Ohio or wherever they're at.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I like that a lot, Rod. And I have one bet I have already locked in, and I have one I'm on the fence of that I want you to either talk me into clicking the button or talk me off the cliff. The first one I have locked in right now, I'm going with Josef Newgarden under 2.5 wins, man. And look, I know it's some steep juice to drink, right? Minus 170, but I'm all right with that because you look at really what Newgarden has done. He's only broke when you look at his season win totals, this 2.5 mark twice, all the way going back to 2020. That is 6 years of data, and he's done it twice, right? And also at the same time, like this is a guy who kind of regressed last season quite a bit as far as laps led. He was down to just 87 laps led. Didn't really seem like he had a bunch of chances to win. He actually got his first win of the season at that finale race. And the other thing you kind of got to consider with Josef Newgarden, I think a little bit as well, Rod, is that Austin Cindric's dad, Tim Cindric, was fired last year in May of 2025 for the major cheating scandal that was allegedly involving some modified parts for these Penske IndyCar vehicles. So for me, I just think it's a tall ask to ask for Josef Newgarden to go out there and rip 3 wins out. Like, I know he can do it at Nashville. I know he can do it at Iowa. I know he can do it at Indy. I'm not that confident he can do it many other places right now. He's not good enough to go. Maybe a St. Pete, he could kind of contend with how good Kirkwood right now and O'Ward are right now on those road courses. I just don't feel as good about that for Josef Newgarden. So I'm going to go with the under on Josef Newgarden. I'm going to pay that juice at minus 170. And then the one I want you to talk me either in or out of, it's Kyle, the street course king, Kirkwood, once again, over 2.5 wins. We talked about him a lot tonight. And the reason I'm interested about going over his 2.5 wins, Rod, and like I will preface this by saying he has not done this a lot in his career, right? He's only done it one time. He's been in the series 4 seasons right now. Only 2 of those being on a full-time, or 3 of those being on a full-time basis. 2022 part-time most of the season though. And he really has won at places like these road courses, but he also has won at places like Gateway and Nashville before as well. And the thing I like about it specifically in 2026 is that we now have 5 street circuits on the schedule, right? Arlington in the mix. We also have Toronto going to Markham as well, which is a new course up there for our friends up north. So I think with one extra street course in the mix and a guy who was 5th at St. Pete, he won Long Beach, won Detroit, he was 6th at Toronto. Every time he qualified in the top 5 of a street course, he finished in the lead. So I need to see him get a little bit better off the truck, right? I would love to see that. But for me, I'm really high on Kyle Kirkwood, and it's hard to hate the number, Rod, right? I mean, you're getting some at least solid plus money value there at plus 110. So do you like the play on Kirkwood? Would you rather just a championship market investment? Well, how do you kind of see the street course king playing out here in 2026?
I mean, I like the over. Again, I think he can win 3 races again this season. And, of course, you do have to take into account there are only 17 races. Again, for you NASCAR folks, there are only 17 races in an IndyCar season. So these wins evaporate quickly, especially if you're still giving Álex Palou 5 wins on the year. That only leaves 12 to dish out between the rest of the drivers. So, you give 3 to Kirkwood, that leaves 9 for the rest of the year. And you give 2 to Power, that gives 7 for everybody else to have. So, but I do believe that Kirkwood is in a good position. Obviously, another year under his belt of being as successful as he was last year. 110, I would like a better number on it than that, but I still think it's a pretty solid investment, especially if you're going to lay 170 for Newgarden under 2.5, right? So yeah, I feel like if you're going to take a win away, or at least a potential win away from Newgarden, Kirkwood's a good place to land that.
Okay, and let's go ahead and let's get to the granddaddy of them all, as they call it, the spectacle of all spectacles when it comes to motorsports, and it's the Indy 500 outright market, where O'Ward coming in at 5-1. We got Newgarden plus 550, Álex Palou 6-1, of course Scott Dixon plus 750, Marcus Ericsson as well at 10-1. You have your boy Malukas as well, 12-1. Scott McLaughlin 12-1. Takuma Soto, who's going to be 14-1. Kyle Kirkwood 15-1, and Rasmussen in the first tier here at 16-1 as well. And then we go on a little bit further to some of these mid-range guys. We have someone who's always a contender when it comes to Indianapolis oval tracks. It's Ferrucci coming in at 18-1. Will Power at 18-1. Alexander Rossi at 18-1. Our old friend Helio Castronovas back in the seat as well, 25-1. Keep in mind, he has not been confirmed for that seat, but they already do have odds for him. Connor Daly, same type of thing, 25-1. Felix Rosenquist, 25-1. Ryan Hunter-Ray, who is confirmed, he will be at 30-1. And then Mick Shoemaker, the rookie, 30-1. And Ed Carpenter, 38-1. Rod, who do you like when it comes to the Indy 500 outright market? If anyone, to me, it is one I'm going to wait on a little bit, because I do like to see how the ovals go for early on in the season before I'm going to get overly invested in this market. My favorite market in general, we'll talk about a little bit later, but when it comes to outrights, and I did hit on the outright last year and the previous year as well, it was waiting and seeing how these ovals played out. What is your approach, and what is your best bet if you have one for early on?
Well, obviously the Indy 500, a lot like the Daytona 500 for NASCAR, where you feel like you can just say, all right, well, throw your hands in the air and call it wherever you like it, whoever you want to cheer for, and put your money on that one, right? Because we've seen a lot of crazy outcomes in the Indy 500. However, I do believe there is one guy who will be looking for a measure of revenge, and if you can put and quantify any sort of advantage for a revenge race, that is Josef Newgarden. And it's 6-1 over on DraftKings right now for Newgarden to win his third in 4 years, his third Indianapolis 500 in 4 years, right? He was the winner of the 2023 Indy 500, the 2024 Indy 500. Álex Palou busted him out of the 2025 Indy 500 win, which, he did to a lot of different people that year. But yeah, I mean, Newgarden was just still one of those guys that you can't really count out for a 500 win. It seems to be when he tends to step himself up, right, and really drive the way he wants to drive. And to me, I feel like this is the one race of the year that Josef Newgarden sets his sights. Well, everybody does. That's a stupid statement, but Josef Newgarden in general, knowing that he's won this a couple of times already, just really, 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 really wants that every year.
Well, and the thing here with getting invested early in Newgarden is you're kind of making a bet that he's going to have a pretty good season off the rip, right? Because if he continues kind of the downward spiral he had most of last season, even on those ovals that he's been so fierce at for many, many years in this IndyCar series, then we might find a longer number. We might find an 8-1. We might find something a little bit longer later in the year. I don't think we'll ever get a 9 or something like that on Newgarden to pull it off yet again. But if he gets off to a hot start, I don't know if you're going to see, the same numbers that we're seeing. You grabbed a 6-1 over there on DraftKings. I don't know if we'll see that if Newgarden does happen to kind of do the inverse of what I'm thinking and get off to a hot rip and maybe win one early on in the season. Rod, we also have some other Indy 500 markets, which I will say always some of my favorites of the season. I love the driver to lead a lap market and smashing a couple of those close to even money, and some of the longer shot ones. I'll usually take a bite at Connor Daly, something around 4-1, something like that. I will say I was in the beautiful country of the Dominican Republic last year when this race is happening. So I only was able to bet outrights before I boarded on Sunday, the Sunday before the race. But Ryan, was a pretty good Sunday, I'll say, watching this race. I had a nice little Mai Tai fruity mixed drink in the hand, and was just sitting on the beach and had it pulled up on the cellular device. So it really enjoyed that. I don't know if I'll ever top that experience for an Indy 500 unless it was going to the race itself.
Hey, listen, however you can enjoy them is the best. And the best way to do it is with a nice little fruity drink and having a good time.
Absolutely. And for some of these other odds and picks that we do have, there are top 10 parlay odds available. These are all on Caesars, driver finishing position props as well, winning car number props, laps led props. I was, visiting that laps led props quite a bit over the last couple of days in preparation for this episode. And I just said, look, I think these numbers are pretty good. I want to just wait for a market where it's just to lead a lap, right? And even if I can parlay a couple of those together, I'm okay with that. So that's where I'm going. Again, I'm going to be a little more cautious in my approach. But Rod, you actually found one, and it's a special coming from a market that you like to visit frequently, not only in the NASCAR Cup Series, but also in all forms of motorsports, my friend.
I love the winning car number bets. It just feels to me like the books have this this nice little soft spot for us in these winning car number bets. And I do love the band, especially in this one. Winning car number for the Indy 500 between 1 and 6. Obviously, Josef Newgarden is that number 2 car. So he drives in the number 2 car, which means you're going to get the guy I think is going to win the race. You also get Pato O'Ward in that one, the second place driver. You get David Malukas in the 4. You get Scott McLaughlin in the 3. A couple of solid drivers there. And then you get Siegel in that Arrow McLaren in the 6 as well. So for me, I mean, this is just kind of loaded with a few solid drivers that I think can get in that, with Pato O'Ward, obviously, how good he is, with Scott McLaughlin. We know how good he is. And Josef Newgarden right there out of the jump. Like, that gives you three drivers that you could pretty much just say and pencil in to be the winner of this race. And I like that, especially at plus 145, almost 1.5 to 1. I feel like there's really good value.
I'm here for it, man. I'm absolutely here for it. Rod, love everything you broke down for us today with your just immense gambling knowledge you have really on every single market that we have touched on. So really appreciate everything you brought to the table. What else do you have going on here over the next couple of weeks as we continue to weight those NASCAR outrights, whether it's here at In Between Media over the NASCAR Gambling Podcast or any other sites and YouTube channel podcasts you're affiliated with right now?
Yeah, so I'm always here on the back road with you and Elliot, other than the fact that when I'm not. But I always love hanging down the back road with you, Seth. Talk about me having immense knowledge. My brother, you, my friend, are one that has immense knowledge as well. I learn from you guys more than anything. But NASCAR Gambling Podcast, as we sit and wait for the books to decide to put out more odds. You can catch us there, me and Cody. Just search for NASCAR Gambling Podcast. We will pop up. And then I'm getting a lot more active with my site, soyouLikeSports.com. It is a very niche market sports site that you can check out at soyouLikeSports.com. I just published some esports on there, put up some AHL, some American Hockey League betting picks up there. Rodeo, I will have the PBR,
action.
of
Nice.
the PBR betting action as well. A lot of stuff on tap, some Pro Women's Hockey League betting picks. It's if you just like just looking at random sports, I got it for you.
I love it, man. That is so cool. I always find those niches very, very interesting. I know the Winter Olympics are coming up as well, so I'm going to have to be diving into that, and I'm sure your site will have something. It might be the most obscure event in the Olympics, but I'm sure you'll have something going out there. Curling's big around these parts right now. Let me tell you what, buddy, you can get people out here in Western PA together, and we get rowdy for NASCAR races. We get rowdy for NFL and college football games. A little men's curling action on the TV, or women's curling for that action. People get up for it, man. We start crushing a couple bush lights out in this part of the state. I'll tell you that much for sure.
Hey, I love curling. Like I enjoy actually watching, and I watched it before I think anybody even realized what it was out here on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So you're like, what are you watching?
Hey man, it's just it's life-size shuffleboard. I'm a big shuffleboard guy as well. So folks, that is going to do it for us on this episode of The Backroad. If you've rode with us this long, please just a quick favor, just give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the entire channel if you're new, and if you're over on the audio side, please leave us a review. It will help us very, very much. When you go over there and you type in NASCAR gambling, Raw's podcast is the first one to come up. We're on like the second or third page. Help us get to the first page, folks. And your reviews, your likes over there, your star ratings, that will help us get there. And we're going to enter you in some micro giveaways if you do that as well. I mean, we'll probably just give you some of the stuff we're sitting on because we need to clean it out, folks. So if you're here at In Between Media, we got a ton of stuff for you happening over the next couple weeks. Fantasy football, NFL betting content rolls on on into the postseason, into the scouting, Senior Bowl, NFL Draft, Combine season as well. College football betting, a couple more weeks of that we still got going on over the site from our guy Phil. NASCAR betting, hopefully we get some NASCAR odds soon, and we'll be here for that for you. PGA season starting next week on the 19th hole with Jake Perry and company, so make sure you're checking that out. And then some entertainment betting trash, Jake Perry, and of course our friend Steven Lawson over there helping you cash in on some movie picks and predictions as well. We're here to help you cash more. We're here to help you enjoy the ride along the way. Be sure to check out in-betweenmedia.com for all the dope written content, as well as in-betweenmedia.com/chat. That's going to get you involved with our IBT Racing family. Again, we want to give away free stuff. We love giving away free stuff. You can do it right there in the IBT Racing family. You can upgrade for our full picks for the betting card and for the head-to-head contest. For my great friend, Hot Rod Villagomez, I'm Seth Woolcock. Thank you guys so much for rolling down the back road with us. Keep it in between. Until next time.